we are the Furlan group, and within our group, we have Bank of England and Mason Title. So we are going to be speaking to you all today on the home buying process. My name is Tina Hart. We have Brandi Furlan, Chris Fulton, and Patty Baker. I am currently a third grade, just kidding. I'm currently a kindergarten teacher. I used to teach third grade. I went into e-learning when COVID hit. And then now I teach third grade. So we are doing this because I just started real estate, and I have a huge base of teachers that I keep in touch with. So we've invited a bunch of the teachers to come out and learn today. So a little bit about me. I've been teaching for 17 years. I'm a 2-time national board certified teacher. I came to Tampa in 2006, and after teaching in Tallahassee for 2 years, I moved down here, and my parents instilled in me that I should always have good credit. So they signed me up for a bunch of credit cards. I don't know if that was for them or for me, but helped me out because I was able to buy a home. And then they always said, as soon as you get down to Tampa, don't waste your money on rent. You need to buy a house. So that just like instilled in me and resonated in my soul. So like that was my number one purpose. So I moved down here in 2006, and then and that was like my entire goal for the year. I even logged on and boarded up with network marketing, and I had makeup parties in my apartment. And every time they're like, why are you doing this? And my goal was to get a house. And I thought it was so impossible to get one. And then one teacher, actually, coincidentally, a teacher referred me to an agent. And because there's a lot of fear and just like students, a lot of misconceptions about buying a house. How much is it going to take? Do I need to jump all these hoops and whatnot? I need to go network marketing and buy and sell makeup. So that's what I did. And then come to find out, all I needed to do was just get in touch with an agent. And so the agent was amazing. She was able to hold my hand, she helped me figure out my budget, look at houses. And this was the time when GPS was not a thing. She had like her big map.
Oh my gosh.
She was like, okay, Tina, we have to make a right on Dale Mabry. We have to go down this road, down Carrollwood, so it was like literally like looking at a map with listings and papers. So it was such an experience. But anyways, and it was just finding information. All I needed to do was reach out to somebody, and I was able to get a house. And I didn't even have to put any money down because it was through a teacher program. I think I paid like $1,000. So that's why I became an agent. Well, that's why I have been in real estate, because of that one hope, that one agent that was able to help me. And our team, and that's why we're here. Our team is here for you guys. We want to build that trust within our support system. We want to be that group for you, and we want to be the ones that's going to help you achieve your dreams. So since then, I've had 6 homes, and Brandi has done 6 transactions with me since 2015. So it can happen to anybody. You just need the information. So I've been in real estate I have had my license since August because of COVID. My goal now is to just educate adults and reach out to everybody. So let people know that there is hope for home ownership out there. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. Our next speaker is Brandi Furlan. She's been my agent since 2015, like I said. She's been an agent broker for 26 years and has certificates in Graduate Realtor Institute, accredited buyer representative, luxury specialist, and is getting certified as an international specialist as well. So everyone, please give a big round of applause to Brandi Furlan.
Yay, Brandi.
Wow. Thank you, Tina.
As well,
Really nice.
With Keller Williams. So that's who we are.
Yes, I was lucky enough to meet Tina. You were referred to me by your cousin out of California back in 2014, I think it was even, or maybe something like that. And
I didn't even, I'm sorry, I forgot to switch my screen to the next slide. Those are all my homes.
That's Tina's pictures. Those are all her
Yeah,
homes.
so there's my little townhouse there. And then we just kept building, and then there's the one in the middle is the recent house that I live in now. So she's helped me get through all of this except for the townhouse. But
yeah, that first one on top was the very first one I met you guys at, and our appointment was at 6 o'clock, and I didn't leave till after 9 o'clock that night. We just had a good time. So so this is what this is what I live and breathe for. I've been selling real estate since I was an assistant for a real estate team when I was 17, got my license right before I turned 20. And so this has been my life, and it's what I do. It's what I love. And it's just such a blessing to be able to help so many people get into a home for the first time or for their 10th time or last time, whatever. But it's just, there's so many different life experiences that we get to have. So, so like I said, I've been selling for 26 years. I'm a broker associate. I want to take you guys through just some basic steps of the home buying process, just to get you comfortable with kind of what it looks like from start to finish. And like, I know some of you have already owned a home, you're refinancing, or maybe it's been a while since you've done it, or you've never owned a home before. So some of it might be new, and you might already know. So the first step is just deciding if now is the right time, right? So like Janine, you're trying to figure out, do I refi or do I buy? Do I sell and buy another home? And that's something that we sit down with you guys and we help you through. We look at the market, we can look at the comps on your home and say, okay, is it the right time to refi, or should you sell? Or are you renting and should you buy? And what are your options there? We talk about how long you're planning on living in your next home. Is this going to be a intermediate home? Is it going to be an investment property? What is the purpose of the home that you want to buy? Some people just want to buy a home for a year, like myself. I would buy a home, live in it for a year, fix it up, keep it as a rental, move to the next one. I did this for probably 15 years, and we built up a nice book of inventory of rental properties. And then before the market crashed, we sold everything off, thankfully. We just saw what was going on and sold it all. So we're starting that process over again, my husband and I. So, but there are different reasons to buy. Is this your forever home? Is it going to be your step up to building your inventory for investment properties? Is it a step up to your next home? So those are things we'll talk about. And we would sit down and go through the benefits of owning versus renting. What are the drawbacks and that kind of thing. Step 2 is getting pre-approved for a mortgage. Before we even take you out and start showing you property, we put you with Chris. He's right here, Chris Fulton, our loan officer, which he'll share a little bit with Bank of England. And he'll get you pre-qualified so that when we start looking at homes in this crazy market that we're in, we can provide a pre-approval letter. This is crucial in today's market because if you don't have one, chances are your offer will not get accepted. So we really insist that you at least talk to Chris over the phone, or if you have a loan officer or a bank, but it's always good to get multiple opinions. Get an opinion from, if you already have a banker, also maybe talk to Chris and just get a second opinion on what's being offered and what programs there are. Not every bank and every loan officer offers the exact same programs. So it's really important to get a second opinion. If you already have someone you're talking to, it never hurts. And Chris, please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe if you pull your credit more than once, but you end up buying a home within a certain time frame, it's a soft pull and it won't hurt your credit. Is that right?
Well, it's not a soft pull, but you are correct as far as you can shop for a mortgage for 30 days without any hit to your credit. So the government knows that the only way to get an accurate rate and then shop for a mortgage is to have your credit pulled. So I wouldn't say go out and, go all over town and get it pulled, but, a couple of times, it's fine. And that's not going to hurt your credit.
Okay, good. So don't worry about that, you guys. If you've already pulled your credit with someone and you do want to shop a little and get an idea, it's okay. So we have, there are different programs out there. There's FHA, VA, conventional. There's Also, many programs, Chris may be sharing, teacher programs, there's USDA, there's first-time buyer programs, down payment assistance programs. So once we sit down and we talk about your situation and what you need, we can put you in the right direction and, help you discover what is best for you. And then make sure your credit's in good shape. So before you start looking, want to make sure that everything's in line, that nothing's going to pop up. Any ghosts from Christmas past, make sure nothing pops up that you weren't aware of. So that's one of the things that Chris will do. So the third step now, once we have that pre-approval, we're going to get out and start looking at homes. However, first we're going to sit down and we'll do a buyer consultation. We're going to sit down and talk about what type of home are you looking for? What are your, I always like to say, what are your 5 must-haves? So think about that. What do you need to have in a home that you can't live without? And even within those 5 must-haves, we may, have to adjust the filter a little bit depending on price point and location. So that's what we'll do before we start looking. Bedrooms, baths, is the school district important? Obviously, if you're teaching and you want to live within your same school district, we would only search for homes there, and that kind of thing. And is yard size important? Do you need a garage, square feet? So we'll go over all that together. So the fourth step, now we're under contract. We found a home, we've written an offer, and the first thing I always hear is, now what? From buyers. Now what do we do? So we'll set up your home inspection, and it really just depends on on what we negotiate in the contract. Typically, a home inspection would be anywhere from 7 to 15 days contingency period. This is the time frame that you have once your offer is accepted to do all of your inspections, do your due diligence, review your HOA documents, make sure you like the community, make sure you like the school district, have your, the home inspection done, a mold test, termite. Again, this is a lot of information, but trust me, we will hold your hand through the whole process, suggest what inspections we think are necessary, and help point you in the right direction. So, that's the beauty of having a realtor work for you. Besides the fact that the seller actually pays our, commission, the buyer, you guys do not pay. So we represent you. However, the seller pays for us, but we represent you, and we make sure that you're within your due diligence period and that all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, and that you are 100% comfortable with moving forward by the end of your inspection period. So, and that timeline depends on the offer that we're writing. And that's something we can go over with you as well. We're in a very competitive market right now. And when you're writing an offer and you're up against 2 or 5 or 10, possibly other buyers writing offers in the same home, you want to be as competitive as possible. So sometimes that means shortening your inspection period or waiving your inspection period if you want to do that, or offering over list. I mean, there are just so many different techniques and tools that we can help you guys with to make sure that you win that offer. But once your inspection's done, then we order the appraisal. We don't want to spend your money ordering an appraisal until that's done and you're past that period. And then this is when Chris goes to work, or your loan officer, and locks down on your interest rate. So it's really crucial, you guys, that when you're starting the loan process, that you get everything to the loan officer as quick as possible. And they may ask you for things more than once. They may ask you for pay stubs every 2 weeks. Well, you will, right, Chris? Probably.
Well, we just like to keep everything updated until closing. So if you get a new bank statement, sometimes bank statements don't come out till the 14th or the 9th or something. So just whenever they get a new bank statement, we just ask that they provide that for us.
Right, absolutely. So don't be annoyed or frustrated. Just know that this information needs to be kept up, and to keep things moving throughout the process, just keep sending your loan officer this information. And and by the way, guys, just a reminder, put your questions in chat. I see we have a few already. At the very end, we're going to do a Q&A session. You don't want to forget to mention that again. I know we have a couple of new people joined us. Hello, Peter. So the fifth step is the closing. So now we're done, right? Chris or your loan officer has locked your rate. You are through the financing part of it. You've got what's called a clear to close. And then now we're just waiting on the loan documents to come to the title company, and we schedule a closing. So the final walkthrough happens typically either the day before or the morning of the day of the closing. So we just want to walk through and make sure that any repairs that were asked from the seller from the home inspection were done. And you want to make sure that the house looks the same as when you saw it last time, that you're buying the same home. And then we'll give you all the utility, a list of utility companies, and help you just change everything over, schedule the move, help you with your mover if you like. You know, we consider ourselves a concierge service. We want to help you with every step of the process, from, you know, getting your movers to getting you handymen once you move in. If you need anything done, we've got all that, and all you have to do is ask. So I believe that's it, right, Tina? Is that the last of my?
Yeah.
So really, you guys can see there's 5 steps, right? From start to finish, as far as when we first talk about what you're even looking for to when we close and do your walkthrough. However, that does not mean that's the last that you see us, because the Furlan Group, we love to celebrate, and we have client appreciation events 4 or more times a year. So once you become a client of ours, you get into our VIP Furlan family group in Facebook, and we have drawings and contests and client events. And so anyway, we really hope to have you part of that family. So I'm going to pass you on to the world famous Chris Fulton and Jenny Clay, loan officer and his partner with Bank of England. All yours.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I just want to piggyback off of what you said. I just can't stress enough how great it is to work with this team. Not just like with Brandi and her team, but myself and Janny, but also we've got inspectors that we work with. We've got a whole team at Keller Williams. I've got my team here in Sarasota with Bank of England locally. You know, we text and talk all the time about these deals as they're going through. You know, we formed a friendship over the last, you know, couple of years. I've worked with Keller Williams Classic now for 4 or 5 years. And, you know, we discuss it all the time. Danielle texted me earlier and said, when are you going to have time to talk about this file that we have? I said, give me 5 minutes. And then, she called me and we discussed it. So we've got a friendship. It's not like, you know, if you work with, say, a title company you've never worked with before over in Orlando or something, where you're just kind of butting heads with someone who's never even heard of you, you know. I mean, we're pretty well known locally, but once you get out of this area, sometimes if there's somebody else involved in the transaction that is not used to working with the group, it makes things more difficult. So it's definitely beneficial in many ways to just try and stay with the team. Having said that, again, hi, my name is Chris Fulton. My assistant, Jenny Clay, she's on the call. She'll be chiming in later, but I'm a local Sarasotan. I was born and raised here, Sarasota Memorial. I went to Sarasota High School. I left, joined the military. I was in the Army Field Artillery for 12 years in the National Guard of Florida. I went to college at USF in Tampa, so I'm a USF grad. I've got a long history in Sarasota with teachers. My sister-in-law is a teacher at Sarasota High School, and she's also an assistant athletic director. My uncle was the head of the SWAT team in Sarasota, so I've got police background. Both my dad and my uncle were both in the military, Field Artillery, National Guard. So I just love helping, first-time home buyers, veterans, and public heroes. You know, I built a business around just helping people that I can relate to. You know, I'm local. I came from that background. I don't have a history with all of the public hero fields, but it's what I do. Definitely a lot of nurses, teachers, firefighters, police, military, things like that. So when you come to me with questions, I usually have, you know, some kind of a background to be able to relate in that. So it's been nice. Go to the next slide. So obviously you're here because you're looking for to purchase a home or maybe refinance. We have a very fast process to get that done. People ask me all the time when I apply, how long is it going to take before I know if I'm pre-qualified? So our application is digital. It's fully secure. You will go to a website, or if you're not comfortable with that, I can send you a paper app, or you can meet me in person and we can do that together. So there's many different ways to do it. Most people just do it online on their computer, tablet, or phone. It takes about 20 minutes to get through the application. And then it takes me about 10 minutes to review it. I'll usually call you, and then we can kind of fill in the blanks that are needed. And so like within an hour, I can get you pre-approved in most cases. Now, in unique cases where we have some things that we need to like document, it might take a little longer than that. But typically with public heroes, teachers, firefighters, paramedics, your W-2 employees, that's easy to document. You know how much money you make. You're either hourly or salary or both. Sometimes you maybe work overtime. It's pretty easy to figure out when you're talking about public heroes. So as far as the home buying process, Brandi talked about that a little bit. So you'll get pre-qualified with me up front. It's really the first step. I mean, you meet with your agent or talk to Brandi first. She refers you to me. I get you pre-qualified. Then we'll ask you to gather some documents to basically solidify what you put in the application. Just make sure that those things match up. Once we do that, then I let Brandi know, hey, they're pre-qualified. You know, you'll have some questions for me, like, you know, how much can I buy? Or maybe, you know, I want to stay around what I'm renting. You know, how much money can I spend on a house if I want to spend $1,700 a month? And I'll answer those kinds of questions. Then I'll let Brandi and her team know how much to look for, and then you can go out shopping. So it's not a very difficult process. It doesn't take a long time. What I like to call the not fun process, the mortgage side of things, doesn't take that long, you know, until you get on to the fun part. So as far as once, say you get under contract for a home with Brandi, the process is also very simple. Basically, we gather the documents to verify your assets and income. So I saw someone had a question about what are the bank statements for. So if you're going to pay some of your down payment or all of it, or maybe closing costs, we just need to know where those are coming from, whether they be a savings account, a checking account, an investment account, gift. We get a lot of gifts and things like that. We just need to basically be able to track where those are coming from. For income, it's just your most recent 30 days pay stubs. Let's say you're making, let's say you're getting Social Security or something like that. We just need a Social Security awards letter. There's many different kinds of income. So I just basically tell you at that time after you fill out the application what's needed. So then once we are able to document that, we submit it onto the next phase, which is it's basically like a gatekeeper that reviews everything before we send it on to a processor. So by the time that your file gets to an underwriter, it's been reviewed by Janie and I, it's been reviewed by a gatekeeper and the processor. So we'll know up front if there's a problem. So if you get past that and you get to the underwriter, usually within a couple of days, unless you do something which Janie will go over later that's on the do's and don'ts list, you're going to close. And we know that up front. So you don't have to stress later on down the line. All right, let's see here. Once it gets approved by the underwriter will give what's called an approval with conditions. And all that means is that they reviewed the file, you are approved, but there's always conditions until the end. So an appraisal, Brandi talked about getting an inspection and then ordering the appraisal. And like she said, we don't like to order your appraisal until you've had an inspection and you've decided, yes, this home is in great shape and we're going to move forward. Then we'll order an appraisal. And that could even be before the underwriter reviews the file, but we want to make sure that you are moving forward. So when it comes back and approved with conditions, usually that's underway. So the appraiser's already been assigned and they've already set up a scheduled time to go out and inspect the home. They call the appraisal an inspection as well. It's similar to the inspection from the home inspector, but they also then provide a value for the house. So once that happens and we get the rest of the conditions, say updated bank statements or pay stubs or whatever the underwriter asks for, we'll send it back to the underwriter for what's called the clear to close. Brandi talked about that. Once you get the clear to close, then our closer and the title company closer will then complete what's called the final CD. And once you get the final CD, then you can set up your closing. Next slide. Okay, so these are some basic questions on what does a good borrower look like, okay? And I'll get to the special teacher programs next, but obviously there's different variations of people, but what we look for is, an excellent credit score would be, and I can't see the whole slide, but I think it's a 740 on the slide.
Yeah.
Mid-sevens is an excellent score. Very good is 680 and up. Basically, 680 and up, you can qualify for a wide range of products, like every product out there other than maybe like a jumbo loan for a mansion or something like that. You might need a higher score, but 680 and up can get you qualified for, conventional FHA, USDA, VA, any of those. Good score would be 620 and up. We'd like to see 640 and up because that allows us to get what's called an automated approval through the Fannie Mae software. Fair would be 580 to 620. Usually I can help you get your score up just by adjusting your payments on current debts and things like that. I can help you within 5 to 7 days get your score up above a 620 in many cases. If you're in the poor category, we have an in-house credit service called Care Credit. We have a gentleman named Todd Worthington that will work with you, help you establish new credit. Sometimes you don't have to pay off anything to get your credit score up. It's just a matter of establishing positive credit. And we'll help you do that. And that's at no cost to you. None of this is at any cost. I should mention that, like Brandi said, I get paid by the bank. I just want to close loans. The more people I can help, the more money I make from the bank. I don't get paid on rate. I don't get paid on whether I'm charging you more or what. We have to charge you the same thing as everybody else. That's the loss with lending. So it's just my goal to help people purchase homes. We love doing it. It's a great feeling. I've been in sales for over 20 plus years. This is by far the best feeling that you can have to help somebody buy a house, especially when they don't know how to go through the process and you walk them through it. And I've had plenty of people cry, honestly, and say, I never thought I could buy a house. I've been renting for 20 or 30 years, and now I have this house. So it's an excellent feeling. And it's nice to be able to do it without having to worry about your pocketbook, honestly. Like, I just close loans. That's what I do. So going back to the chart, your debt to income. So what they want to see is based on your income that you don't have a high debt ratio. Typically, they'll let you go up to 50% of your income to buy a house. You can go up a little higher than to 55% with an FHA or VA loan. And that is your current debts plus an additional housing payment. So you have to add all of those. So your minimum payments from your credit card, your car payments, student loans, things like that, plus the new payment and taxes and such. And I'll be able to tell you that. You don't have to kind of figure that stuff out. And then it says 20% or more down payment. That's our strongest borrowers. Does it happen? Absolutely. But I do loans with 0 down, 3% down, 3.5% down, 5% down. Most people that are first-time home buyers that are buying a house that's for owner occupancy are putting 5% or less down. We do have people obviously living, up north, or maybe that sold the house and they're relocating that have some money from that house that'll put 20% plus. But you don't have to have 20% down to buy a home here. A lot of it's 3%. And then the state of Florida does have programs called down payment assistance through the state of Florida, where you can get up to $7,500 or even $10,000 to help with down payment assistance and closing costs. Okay. Also for public heroes, I know Brandi will probably mention this later, but they've got some assistance that they're going to be offering through this program. And then Bank of England has a program that we don't advertise. It's something that we just keep to ourselves for public heroes, and it's a $2,000 lender credit to help out. Okay. So there's many different ways to help get down payment money. And like I said before, you can also get gifts from family or friends as well. Let me complete this real quick. So some of the documentation I think we already talked about. You're going to verify your assets with 30 days pay stubs, 2 years W-2s. If you're W-2, you don't even have to provide tax returns. So you just use W-2s, most recent pay stubs. We have to get a 2-year residency. So if you've been renting, we just need a 2-year residency history in the application. 2 months bank statements or asset statements for any accounts that you'll be using. Next slide, please. So this is just talking about one of the down payment assistance programs we have. We have the state programs as well as a public hero program that's a national program. And this one's a grant program, meaning that they'll pay your down payment and you don't have to pay it back if you live there. I think it's for 5 years. It might be 3, to be honest with you. I don't remember, but they'll give you the money. All right. So the one thing, the reason I use the state programs first before I use this one is this one's got a higher interest rate. But with this one, I use it for people who wouldn't qualify normally for the state programs. Go to the next slide, please. So just some basics on the program. It's an FHA loan, so it's 3.5% down, but you can get up to a 3.5% grant to pay that. You can also get a 2% grant if you don't need the whole 3.5%. And then that can be combined with up to a 6% seller credit. So typically the closing costs on an FHA loan are somewhere between 3.5 to 4.5% of the sales price. It doesn't always pan out to that. It depends on the house price, the taxes and stuff, but that's what I typically use as an in general number, okay? You can get up to 6% of the sales price as a seller concession. Now keep in mind, and I'm sure Brandi will tell you this too, we're in a very hot market. It's not easy to get seller credits, but it does happen. So you can combine the seller credit with a grant or down payment assistance and basically come up with very little money out of pocket if you find the right house and the right sellers, okay? There's no resale or borrower repayment restrictions. It's a one-time close, so it's a very easy process. It's for first-time home buyers. Here's the interesting thing, as you can see on the slide, it's for first responders, police officers, firefighters, public servants, paramedics, emergency technicians, educators, medical personnel. It's for people who are thinking of becoming any of these things, or maybe were before, or they were a volunteer. Pretty much any field, or even if you were trying to get into one of those fields, you can get this loan. All right. And let's say you weren't. Let's say you weren't any of these, but you were under the income limits for that territory. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer or in these fields to get this loan. All right. So it's one of the easiest loans to qualify for. That's why I use it, but I don't use it first because, like I said, the interest rates are a little higher than what I can get with other programs. All right. Next slide. This is just a rent versus purchase slide, okay? So this is based on $1,706 a month in rent, what you can get for that same price in this market based on average taxes and insurance. So in this market with that rent, you can purchase up to a $231,000 home. And then if you look at the next slide, it'll show you over a 10-year period what you'll gain based on if you kept renting versus this purchase at the $231,000. So you can actually gain, and again, I'm cut off from seeing the top, but I'm looking at the 135,264. So it can really change your life to purchase a home. I can tell you.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but can everybody see the full screen, or is that just Chris?
I can see it.
I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
I'm going to move you guys over to the left, and that way I can see it. So, all right. So you can move to the next slide, please. And now Janny's going to go through some just basic do's and don'ts. She doesn't want to read them all, obviously, be here all day and be bored. But these are some just basic do's and don'ts that you want to keep in mind during the process that'll help you avoid some classic blunders, let's just call them. So, Janny, go ahead.
Hi guys, I'm Janny. I am Chris Fulton's assistant here at Bank of England. And I did want to just quick talk about the difference between down payment and closing costs. Did you specify the two of those? I think some people think that it's always the same, Chris.
Yeah,
No,
go ahead
that's a
and
good
explain
idea.
it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when he's talking about down payment, that's specifically for the loan, and closing costs is what you would pay to actually close the loan. I think Patty can probably touch on that as well, but just wanted to make sure one of the things that we find with buyers is that there's a confusion between the two. So you do need a down payment and closing costs, which, every deal is different. So I just wanted to put that in there, but Patty, you can probably talk a little bit about closing costs as well.
Sure.
Thanks. Okay. So there are a lot of different things that can affect whether you qualify for the loan. And that's where we come in with the do's and don'ts. It's really, really specific. You just want to stay within what you do normally as far as do's, and for don'ts, you want to make sure you don't have any inquiries on your credit or anything like that, or big payments or big withdrawals. So this do's and don'ts right here is just talks about how that there's certain things that you can do and certain things that you do not do. Many times your credit and income and assets are verified all the way up until the end. So you really need to pay attention to what you're doing throughout the process. If you want to skip to the next, so we can do the don'ts. This is just really specific. Again, any question you have during the process, you usually talk to Chris first, and you don't get by Chris without talking to me when it comes to documents. And I know that they kind of touched on making sure you get us the documents when we ask for them, because we are moving along on a time schedule, and we just want to make sure that we keep the loan process going. So for your don'ts, you don't alter your credit at all. So no inquiries. Don't get stuck at Kohl's or Victoria's Secret or Bass Pro, getting that credit card to get a discount. Don't do that during the process. No buying cars, no buying furniture. We've had a lot of people who wanted to furnish their home, to buy appliances before they close, but buying any large items will affect your credit. And we're also looking at your bank statements at that time too. So large, deposits or large withdrawals are going to make a difference as well. Don't co-sign for anybody. Nothing, not even something little, not a small loan, nothing. No buying cars, none of these things during the process. And you also don't want to pay anything late. So anything that you've got, credit cards, any of your payments that utilized credit for, you want to make sure that you keep those payments current, if not early during the process. So no big purchases, no big credit hits during the process. Just wait till you get the keys before you do that. So you can go to the do's. So all the don'ts we kind of understand, keep everything the same, things that you would normally do, keep it that way. So no big changes or differences. Things that you need to do is keep all of your accounts current, making sure you're still continuing to pay all of your, debts, your car loans, your mortgages, your credit cards, everything, paying those on time. Make sure if you have any questions to just reach out to us. Every deal is different and every transaction is different. So you may have a question. We've had plenty of people who say they needed to buy a car in the middle of the process, or they really needed to do something with their money. Always run it by Chris or I just before you do those things. It's easy, just ask. Again, we want to make sure that you are keeping track of anything that we send to you, that Brandi sends to you, that the title company sends to you. Keep track of everything, your email, your text messages. We're on all social media. You can reach out to us anyway. So just make sure you're keeping track of what we need from you and getting it to us as quickly as possible. We usually like to say, get anything that we ask within 24 to 48 hours so that we can keep the process going. That's really it as far as the dues. I don't know if Chris, you can think of anything.
Well, I took up too much time. So the only other thing I just want to say is we work 7 days a week.
Mhm.
I work the weekends. Janny, I kind of leave alone on the weekends, but I'm available at night as well, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Plenty of times. So I'm not just banker's hours. Janny's not just banker's hour. None
of us work banker's hours.
Yeah. So
What
if
is
you have
that?
questions, it's text me. It's not a problem. I give you my cell phone number, Janny's cell phone number, our emails.
Our Facebook,
Obviously,
our
I mean, we all
social.
have kids or lives, so sometimes we can't get back to you right away, but we're all available.
And if I could jump in, for those of you on here interested, you can download this app and you can, run a payment, get an idea of what a payment would be. It's a great app. Should we move on, Patty? We'd love to hear from Patty before we run out of time. I know we have this blocked for an hour. Is that right? So,
Sure.
Chris, you want to
Hi,
give
everybody.
Patty the introduction?
Hi, everybody. I'm going to be as quick as I can with the top 10 items needed for a smooth closing. I see we're losing some people already. Great information, Chris and Janie. I want to say real quick, by attending today, we are also a member of the HERO program, and we're going to give you $100 off closing costs. So let's go to the first slide. The fully executed contract. Are you there, Tina? There we are. The fully executed contract, when you find your dream home with Tina or Brandi, you want to make sure Mason Title is your escrow company, and that's the person that's going to hold your good faith deposit. We're also going to ask how you'd like to take title, and I was going to go into that a little bit, but I'm simply going to say, for the lady that just left, you can say you're a single person, a married person, or right of survivorship. If you have any questions after the fact, my information will be at the end, and I'd be glad to talk a little bit more about that. Let's go to the next screen because I know we're short on time.
You have about 15 minutes. You're fine, Patty.
Prior owner policy, that's for your refinances. If anyone's on here listening that's wanting to do a refinance, we would just ask for a copy of your prior owner's policy and you would receive a discount on your title insurance. And for anyone that doesn't know what title insurance is, let's just make it clear that that's a promulgated rate statewide. It's the same for everyone. And again, I'd be glad to discuss those with you at another time. Slide 3. A prior survey. If you're buying a home and they haven't had any structural changes since they purchased the home, we can literally use their existing survey with having the seller sign an affidavit. And that's a huge savings. Hundreds of dollars actually that you can save in the process. Next. Payoff information for sellers and social security numbers. And again, there was someone that was looking at maybe selling. We just need all of that information. And if you feel uncomfortable doing it online, we can again take that information by phone. Next. Email phone numbers for buyers and sellers. It's very important when we start the process that we have all contact information for everyone involved. I wanted to kind of piggyback on something that Janie had said. When we get the process started, we want to keep things rolling smoothly. And I refinanced myself last year, and I must have gotten a call 6 or 7 times. They wanted the same exact information. So you might be in the process of getting ready to move. Just keep everything in one file in one little place so you can submit the information maybe several times. Next, please. Again, email, phone numbers for agents, all that information is something that we do need from the very beginning. Next, please. HOA condo association information. Your homeowners associations will have you fill out some sort of application, or your condos, the same thing, and we will order a Stoppo Letters. And these are something that take a little bit of time. So once we receive your contract, we order these immediately. And this just assures us that there's no liens against the property. There's several things in a Stoppo Letter will teach us, but again, this is something we order right away. Next, please. If there's a trust involved, a divorce or anything like that, we are going to ask for the original paperwork for something like that. Next, please. Next, please. Information that closing is a mail away. We don't necessarily have to have you at the closing table or in our office, especially with COVID last year. We were doing a lot of mail aways, whether it be on the buyer or the seller side, where we would mail you a package and we'll have it highlighted where you would sign. We have had people actually drive to the office if you feel uncomfortable coming in because of COVID. We'll come out to the parking lot and have you sign the paperwork. So there's a lot of ways. We can send a mobile notary to your home. I actually do a lot of the notaries closings myself, but there's just a lot of ways that we can be creative with closing your loan. And next, please. Clear to close. Everyone loves to hear those 3 words. I just want to make it really clear when you do hear those 3 words, it's not like you're running to the title company that very minute. It just means things are in place for us to go ahead and schedule your closing, and we will be closing within the next 48 to 72 hours in most cases. Next, please. I guess that's it for me then. I do want to mention again, though, by listening today, we are going to give you $100 off your closing costs. If you're interested in knowing what your closing costs are, feel free to call me anytime. I as well work when realtors work 24/7. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
So before we let you guys go here, let's just kind of recap. So all of our information, as you can see, is at the end of the slide here. If you have any questions regarding title, please call Patty direct, and Patty can go into more of things like you might want to know if you can, buy a home in an LLC, or if you want to get a trust, or what would be the best way to do that, or just buy it as an individual. And, you may just want to get pre-qualified to see how much can you qualify for without going through the process. If you're just curious, call Chris. So he'll just, by talking to you, give you an idea based on what you tell him on your income without having to go into the deep pre-qualifying with credit, with pulling credit, right? Right, Chris?
Yeah, I just use the app like you talked about. There's an easy, I just do it on my phone just like you would. I just go onto my app. We put it in there. I mean, obviously we don't go into all the details about debt to income at that point, but just to figure out what their payment would be.
Yeah.
How much
So
they can
download the
buy.
app,
It's
right?
really easy. Yeah.
I'd
Yeah,
like
download
to
the
say
app.
one thing real quick if I could. I was one of those people, I didn't buy my house until 8 years ago. I really didn't, being in the business, think that I could afford to buy a house. And let me tell you, it was one of the smartest things I ever did, because I took the time and I sat down with one of my customers and had them look at my financial situation. And I found out I could actually buy a house. So a lot of times people are afraid to ask the question. I didn't think I could afford to buy, and I did. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Absolutely.
So please take the time and find out if you can too.
It just seems scarier than it really is.
It really does.
So we, the Furlan Group is giving back 10% of our commission back to you guys towards your closing costs when you use us as your realtors. Chris mentioned he's got up to about $2,000 plus other potential programs as a teacher. You guys, there's so many benefits out there for you. And then Patty's giving $100 off closing costs. So a lot of opportunity here to help towards down payment, closing costs, interest. You can use it to buy down interest rate. I don't know how much better you can get than 2.8 or 2.6. We are so excited to be able to do this for you guys. We're so glad you joined us and took the time, an hour out of your day to listen in and learn a little bit. We're going to do these quarterly, like we mentioned. So please keep an eye out, share them with all your friends and family, no matter what industry they're in, what they do for a living. We have so many different loan programs. We're going to pick different topics each quarter and do one, but again, it's open to everyone, and we hope to see you guys again.